Easy now. You dumb fucks ever heard a Ring doorbell? Get him. Go on, get him. Pick him up.
At the beginning of the movie, we're dropped straight into Charlie's world. A world of quiet diners, quiet drives, and very loud violence hiding just beneath the surface. Charlie works directly under Stan Mullen, a crime boss who has ruled over Biloxi for nearly 5 decades. Stan isn't the flashy type. He built his empire the old-fashioned way, through patience, discipline, and loyalty, values that Charlie has clearly absorbed after years of working by his side. But this particular day, Charlie isn't running his usual solo operation. He's been assigned to babysit a new recruit named Blade, who's about to carry out his very first hit. And almost immediately, something about Blade rubs Charlie the wrong way. He's twitchy. He's overconfident. He's the type of guy who wants everyone to know he's dangerous, instead of just quietly being dangerous. And in this line of work, that kind of energy tends to get people killed. Their target is a man named Rollo, hiding out in a rented house on the outskirts of town. Charlie expects a clean approach. Walk in, get it done, walk out. Instead, Blade shows up dressed as a delivery driver, holding what looks like an ordinary box of donuts. Charlie watches from a distance, confused about why Blade isn't just pulling a gun and finishing the job the simple way. He gets his answer seconds later, when the entire house explodes. Turns out, Blade, a man who apparently earned his reputation with a knife rather than a gun, decided he wanted to try something new for his first real kill. A bomb. When Charlie and Blade step inside afterward, they find Rollo's body completely intact from the neck down, and absolutely nothing left from the neck up. No face. No dental records. No way to visually confirm this is actually the man they were sent to kill. And just like that, the movie sets up its first real problem. How do you prove someone is dead when there's nothing left to identify them by? Charlie already has an answer in mind. Rollo's ex-wife, Marcy Kramer. As they load the headless body into the trunk, Charlie makes a quick call to Benny Moran, one of Stan's most trusted underbosses, letting him know the job is technically done, even if it didn't go according to plan. Benny isn't thrilled, but Charlie assures him he'll clean up the mess. That's what he does. That's who he is. At Marcy's home, we're introduced to a character who instantly stands out from everyone else in this story. Marcy isn't just Rollo's ex-wife. She's a professional taxidermist, someone who spends her days preserving dead animals with total precision and zero squeamishness. So when Charlie shows up with a headless corpse and asks her to identify it, she doesn't flinch, doesn't panic, doesn't even ask many questions. She simply gets to work. It's actually Marcy who solves the identification problem for them. She recognizes a very specific tattoo, one placed in a very particular spot, that her own brother, a tattoo artist, gave Rollo as a wedding gift years earlier. Dark humor aside, it's confirmation enough. This is Rollo. Charlie offers her $5,000 for her trouble, and just when it looks like the job is finally wrapped up, Blade flips the entire situation upside down. Without warning, he pulls his gun on Charlie, forces him to toss his weapon into the car, and snaps at him to stop calling him Donut, a nickname Charlie's clearly been using to mock his amateur disguise. Blade reveals his true plan. He's cutting ties with Stan, defecting to a rival named Beggar Mercado, and planning to personally deliver Rollo's body as a gift to earn his new boss's trust. It's a tense standoff that ends in one of the most unexpectedly comedic moments in the entire film. Blade, clearly far more comfortable with knives than firearms, accidentally shoots himself while trying to speed off in his car. The vehicle spins out of control and slams directly into a power transformer, catching fire almost instantly, a fire that ends up completely destroying Rollo's body in the trunk. So now Charlie's back to square one. Except this time, he's got an idea. Blade and Rollo, as it turns out, are roughly the same height and build. Charlie realizes he doesn't need Rollo's actual body. He just needs a body that looks convincing enough to pass as Rollo's. All he needs is Marcy's help recreating that same distinctive tattoo, in the same spot, on Blade's corpse. It's cold, it's calculated, and it works perfectly, which tells you everything you need to know about how Charlie approaches problems, with total detachment, total efficiency, and zero hesitation. That evening, we get a quieter, more human side of Charlie when he visits Stan at his home. He cooks dinner for him. They sit together and watch a basketball game like they've done 100 times before. It's revealed here that Stan has ruled Biloxi for 47 years, and that he and Charlie have been close for 3 full decades. But there's something heavier hanging in the air too. Stan is getting older, his memory slipping in small but noticeable ways, and Charlie has slowly become less of an employee and more of a caretaker. The next morning, Charlie drives out to an auto salvage yard to deliver the disguised body to Beggar Mercado. Beggar, who was once cellmates with the real Rollo, takes one look at the tattoo and immediately buys the ruse. Satisfied that his problem is solved, Beggar has the body fed to crocodiles in a nearby pond. A chilling little detail that tells us exactly how far he's willing to go, and exactly how little he values human life. Beggar isn't done, though. He mentions that Stan hasn't been returning his calls, and asks Charlie to set up a face-to-face meeting between the two of them. It sounds like a simple favor. It is anything but. Before the story plunges back into violence, we get a genuinely sweet detour. Charlie returns to Marcy's house to pay her the money he promised, and tells her how impressed he is by how calmly she handled the entire situation. Most people, he admits, don't handle chaos nearly that well. Before leaving, he asks her out to lunch. She says yes. Over Italian food. The movie gives us a small but meaningful reveal. Charlie is practically an expert in Italian cuisine and culture. He explains that he's always dreamed of moving there someday, leaving behind the violence of Biloxi for something quieter, something better. It's a small detail early on, but pay attention, because it becomes incredibly important by the film's final act. Later, during Stan's birthday celebration, the two old friends sit together watching yet another basketball game, and Stan, sensing that Charlie's been holding back on chasing his dreams, encourages him to finally go for it, to move to Italy, and actually live the life he's always wanted. But when Charlie brings up Beggar's request for a sit-down meeting, Stan's tone shifts immediately. He refuses outright. Stan explains that his entire career has been built on following the old rules of organized crime. Rules of respect, rules of loyalty, rules that men like Beggar have never bothered to follow. He warns Charlie, firmly, to stay away from him entirely. Charlie listens. Unfortunately, listening doesn't save either of them from what's coming next. That night, while Charlie sits at home scrubbing blood out of his trunk with opera music playing softly through his headphones, his phone buzzes. His home security cameras have picked up two men creeping toward the house. Without a second of hesitation, Charlie shoots one of them dead on sight. He forces the surviving attacker to load his partner's body into the trunk, presumably right next to whatever else has been in there recently, before calmly killing him too. It's brutal, it's fast, and it's the clearest signal yet that something much bigger than one bad hit has just been set into motion. Sensing danger, Charlie rushes over to one of Stan's casinos, only to find Beggar's men already clearing out of the building. Inside, he discovers Stan's most trusted underbosses tied up and executed. And when he speeds over to Stan's mansion, hoping against hope that his old friend is safe, he finds him lying dead on the floor. This is the emotional turning point of the entire film. The man Charlie has spent 30 years protecting, cooking dinner for, watching basketball with. Gone in a single, brutal night. Desperate for permission to retaliate, Charlie goes straight to Sal, the boss who sits above the entire criminal network. He asks for the green light to kill Beggar. Sal refuses. His reasoning is cold, but not entirely unreasonable. Stan's generation is fading out. Beggar represents new money and new influence, and the larger organization simply can't afford to lose that revenue stream. But before Charlie storms out, Sal drops a hint that changes everything. Not everyone from Stan's crew was actually killed that night. Charlie doesn't need to be told twice. There's only one person it could be, Benny Moran, the underboss who runs Stan's gentlemen's clubs, and the same man Charlie called right after Blade's disastrous first hit. Charlie confronts Benny's wife first, confirming his suspicions, before heading straight to the club Benny oversees. Along the way, he crosses paths with Milt, an old enforcer from Stan's glory days, now reduced to working the door as a bouncer. It's a small, almost sad detail that shows exactly how far Stan's empire had already fallen before the final blow ever landed. Inside the club, Charlie confronts Benny directly and shoots him in the shoulder. Benny, bleeding and desperate, tries to justify his betrayal, claiming Stan had become too old, too forgetful, too weak to lead anymore. It doesn't matter to Charlie. He kills him anyway, then tears through the rest of Beggar's men occupying the club in a fast, brutal, adrenaline-fueled sequence. Just when it seems like the fight is over, a hidden attacker in the kitchen nearly catches Charlie off guard. It's Milt, the same bouncer from earlier, who saves his life at the last possible second, taking the shooter down before she can pull the trigger. With Benny dead and Stan's empire in ashes, Charlie shifts from enforcer to investigator. Tailing one of Beggar's men leads him back to Rollo's original rented house, the same one from the very beginning of the film, now completely ransacked by someone clearly searching for something specific. Charlie corners the man responsible and executes him after he mocks Charlie about Stan's death. Moments later, Beggar himself calls the dead man's phone. Charlie answers instead, warning Beggar directly that he plans to find whatever evidence Beggar's so desperate to hide, before Beggar can destroy it. That single phone call sends Beggar into full panic mode. He unleashes his most feared weapon, a ruthless, near-silent assassin known only as the Freak. And to make matters worse, Beggar's men are already headed straight for Marcy's house. This is where the film gives Marcy one of its most memorable moments. Two armed men break into her home. One of them, foolishly picking up one of her taxidermy birds to examine it, ends up with its long, sharp beak driven straight through his eye. The second man tries to strangle her, and loses that fight just as badly. By the time Charlie arrives, Marcy has already handled the situation entirely on her own. It's a defining moment for her character, proof that she's not simply someone who needs saving, but someone who can absolutely hold her own in this world of violence. As they dispose of the bodies together, Marcy reveals something crucial. Rollo had visited her just days before his death, promising her $50,000 in exchange for helping him quietly rent a house near the airport. Part of some larger scheme neither of them fully understood at the time, believing that hidden money, and possibly the very evidence Beggar is so desperate to find, might be linked together. Charlie and Marcy set off for New Orleans. Charlie initially wants to leave her out of the danger entirely, but she makes a fair point. She knows Rollo's world, his habits, and his hiding spots far better than Charlie ever could. Along the way, we learn a little more about Marcy's own plans. A fresh start waiting for her in Baton Rouge, complete with a new job at a museum, once she finally gets her hands on that money. At Rollo's New Orleans house, they find the place already torn apart by Beggar's men, with no lockbox anywhere in sight. But Charlie notices something small and easily overlooked. A printer that still holds a record of the last document it ever printed. It turns out to be an airline receipt, tied directly to the hotel where Rollo had been hiding. While Marcy stays behind to collect a few of her own belongings, Charlie calls the airline and impersonates Rollo, successfully tricking an employee into revealing his exact room number. Charlie searches the hotel room thoroughly and finds absolutely nothing. Just as he's about to leave, the elevator doors slide open, and standing inside is the freak. Gunfire erupts instantly. Charlie barely manages to escape into the hotel's laundry area, tossing a fire extinguisher down the emergency stairwell as a decoy before diving into a laundry chute to disappear completely. But the freak isn't fooled for long. He waits patiently near the chute's exit and fires blindly upward, wounding Charlie in the process. Somehow, through sheer willpower, Charlie stays completely silent, convincing the assassin that the chute is empty. When police sirens finally scare the freak off, Charlie manages to slip away, wounded but very much alive. Back at Charlie's home, Marcy patches up his wound and begins going through Rollo's old phone records while he recovers. She notices something odd almost immediately. Even while hiding from people actively trying to kill him, Rollo made 3 separate phone calls to his mother. That single detail sends them straight to her house, where she wastes absolutely no time throwing insults at Marcy the moment she walks through the door. Ignoring her completely, they search the house and eventually track down the lockbox they've been chasing this entire time. But when Marcy finally opens it, it's completely empty. Rollo's mother had already spent every dollar of that $50,000 on breast implants, of all things. It's a darkly funny gut punch after everything they've endured to get there. With seemingly nowhere left to turn, Charlie begins driving Marcy toward the bus station so she can finally start her new life. But somewhere in that quiet, tense car ride, something shifts. You can feel it. Marcy slowly begins to realize just how much Charlie actually cares about her, beyond the violence and the chaos surrounding them. Then, suddenly, she remembers one more place Rollo used to frequent. One of Beggar's own bars. She walks in alone, confidently playing the role of an angry woman looking for a man who owes her money, and manages to find a hidden disc tucked behind a picture frame on the wall. But the moment she steps back outside, Beggar's men are already waiting. They know exactly who she is. Charlie bursts in just in time, firing a warning shot to force her release, only for the freak to suddenly appear behind him, gun raised, disc now in his possession. The freak forces Charlie into the car, fully intending to deliver him straight to Beggar, sipping whiskey the entire ride, while keeping his gun trained directly on him. Charlie waits patiently for the perfect opportunity. The second the freak tips the bottle back and loses focus on the road, Charlie deliberately slams the car into oncoming traffic. The airbag does the rest, driving the whiskey bottle straight through the freak's mouth and killing him instantly. A wildly unexpected, almost cartoonish death for such a feared assassin. Charlie grabs the disc, steals another vehicle, and immediately calls Marcy, only for Beggar to answer instead. Marcy's been captured. Beggar orders Charlie back to the exact salvage yard where this entire nightmare first began. At the yard, Beggar holds Marcy at gunpoint and forces Charlie to strip down to his tank top and shorts, just to be certain he isn't hiding a weapon, before demanding the disc. He genuinely believes he's completely in control of the situation. What he doesn't know is that Charlie already handed a copy of that disc over to Sal, and that it proves, beyond any doubt, that Beggar has been secretly feeding information to the FBI for years. The moment Sal sees the evidence, he finally gives Charlie full permission to end Beggar for good. In a strange, almost theatrical beat, Charlie suddenly asks Marcy to move to Italy with him, then tells her to look down at her legs. Confused, she glances downward. And in that exact split second, a single rifle shot rips past her and strikes Beggar dead instantly. The shooter turns out to be Milt, the very same bouncer from earlier in the film, revealed here to have served alongside Charlie in the Marines. His loyalty, quietly building throughout the entire story, finally pays off in the most decisive way possible. In the film's final stretch, Charlie brings Marcy to meet a mysterious man named Mr. Green. And here's the twist nobody sees coming. Mr. Green is actually Stan, very much alive. Before Beggar's attack ever happened, Charlie had secretly relocated him to another mansion for protection, using Stan's own chauffeur's body to fake his death and convince both the authorities and the entire criminal underworld that he was truly gone. Stan gets to spend the rest of his life in peace, far away from the violence and pressure of the empire he spent nearly 5 decades building. And Charlie finally gets the ending he's quietly wanted this entire time. He drives off with Marcy and hands her the $50,000 Sal gave him as a reward for taking down Beggar. Instead of keeping the money for herself, Marcy suggests they use it to furnish a new home together, somewhere far away from Biloxi entirely, in Italy. So here's the question this movie really leaves us with. Was Charlie Swift ever truly just a concierge, someone simply taking care of problems along the way? Or was that always just a comforting story he told himself to survive in a world built on violence and betrayal? Drop your take in the comments. I'd genuinely love to hear how you read his character. And if this breakdown helped you understand or appreciate the movie even more, go ahead and subscribe. It genuinely helps this channel keep growing, and it means more deep dives like this one are on the way. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.